Okay. This is Clover's card. You know, looking at this photo, she's kind of cute, isn't she? Huh? What's up? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Why does her smile make me feel cold? Man, the guy on this card is one good-looking son of a bitch. Way more class than that other chump. Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Huh? What's your problem? Didn't say I meant you, did I? Shit. Snake. Is that Snake's card? Yeah, you want to see it? No, that's fine. This guy. This card has the 9th man on it. He's the first victim of this Nonary game. Actually, come to think of it, he was acting pretty weird. I wonder what his deal was. It's Ace's card. You look like some kind of European lord. Oh, my headshot. You want to see it? It's actually a pretty good picture. No, I don't need to see it. In fact, we really ought to get back to our search. Getting very defensive about these photos. This is Seven's card. If this is supposed to be a trading card, it's not a very good one. No, not even any stats or anything. This must be... Oh no! Don't look at it! I'm not cute at all, and I'm not photogenic, and I don't look sexy either. Next to Clover, oh, my skin looks gross. And I'm not sexy like Lotus. The fuck? I know guys go for women who look like Lotus, but I'm trying to. I'm doing the best I can. So please, don't call me a board, or a trash can, or a cutting board, or... Wait a minute, wait. I haven't said anything like that. Have I? This card has a picture of June on it. Aw, not cool, man. You took this picture without my permission. Looks pretty cool, though. You look really handsome in this picture. Hey, knock it off, lovebirds. What? We're not a couple. Not at all. Not in any way. It's locked. We need the key. Oh, the boxes have numbers on them. Do they? Oh. Ace bent down and picked up something that had been sitting next to the box. Junpei, take a look at this. Cards. There's a picture of Lotus on this card. Man, her hair is ridiculous. It's like clay or something. It says the pot to the kettle.
Now we finally...
Just then, Junpei heard a noise. He spun around just in time to see June collapse in front of the fence.
Hey! June, are you okay?
She did not respond. Junpei spun back around to face Ace.
I'm sorry, I gotta go check on her. You finished the box thing, alright? Just put the cards in the boxes. I'm counting on you.
He shoved the cards into Ace's hands and ran off toward June.
Are you alright? What happened?
Junpei called out to her as he ran.
Can you stand?
As he arrived, June was climbing to her feet with Santa's help.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm fine.
Did you just trip?
I just tripped.
For fuck's sake. June, why are you so clumsy?
Don't give me that. Now is not the time.
But it's true. I tripped over a box.
Just let me see for a sec.
Junpei put his palm on her forehead.
Huh.
You're still warm.
Her temperature was much the same as it had been the last time he checked. She wasn't hot. Well, I mean, that's your discretion, narrator. She wasn't hot like she'd been before, but she was still warm. Her fever wasn't completely gone.
I saw her fall. I think she really did just trip on something, you know?
Junpei would have been more willing to agree if June hadn't needed quite so much help standing up. Oh, excuse me.
Still, to fall down like that? I think she's probably still a little messed up.
June was doing her best to busy herself, brushing dust off of her dress. Her smile looked a little embarrassed, and her face was a bit flushed. But she did look a great deal better than she had. Still...
Alright, well, let's just get out of here as fast as we can so we can get you to a hospital.
Oh, I don't think it's anything that serious. I just need a little medicine and some sleep, and I'll be fine.
Medicine. Medicine, huh? Well, if we could get in touch with anyone outside, I'll bet Ace could swing that for you easy.
Ace? Why?
Huh? Don't you know? He's the president of a pharmaceutical company.
Oh?
Cradle Pharmaceuticals is the name, I think.
Huh? Cradle?
Their flagship product is an anesthetic drug called Soparil.
Soparil. Soparil?
Isn't that the stuff he had on him in the hospital room?
I've heard of that before somewhere.
Junpei couldn't shake the feeling that he'd heard about Soparil before. Santa continued.
Soparil. It's an anesthetic that's a gas at room temperature, a lot like how nitrous oxide is. It takes only a few seconds to spread, and even a small amount is very effective. A bunch of countries quickly accepted it for widespread use within their police and military forces. It was an effective crowd suppressant and room clearer. It was practical, ethical, and the humane nature of it made it the ideal drug. It's been around for about 6 years. They developed it from the extracts of several different roots.
Okay.
It became popular almost as soon as it was made public, with many governments placing large orders. Demand for Soparil skyrocketed, and of course that meant Cradle Pharmaceuticals' stock did too.
Why do you know all of this?
Santa's information was interesting, but Junpei couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Santa's reply was blunt and simple.
I heard it from the old man himself.
From Ace? When?
When?
By the number 4 door at the central stairway, when we were searching the second-class room. Remember how Snake, 7, and you went to door 5? It was back then. I asked him what he did for a living, and he said he ran his own company.
Yeah.
After that, we just started talking, and I guess it just came up, you know?
It just came up. Just came up.
Huh.
Are you worried about something?
Cradle, though. Why do we know that name?
No, nothing.
Something in the back of my head that tells me that is... As he spoke, Junpei looked over toward Ace. He seemed to be having difficulty with the 9 boxes.
What the hell is he doing?
He turned back to June and Santa.
June, don't push yourself, alright?
Yes.
Santa, could you take care of her? I'll go check on Ace. Looks like he's having trouble.
Sure.
He gave them both a short nod, then turned and headed toward Ace.
What are you doing?
Ace's back was to him as Junpei approached. The older man turned around to look at him. His face was pale and covered in sweat.
What happened?
Nothing. My vision has gotten rather blurry, I think, because of fatigue. I can't see very well at the moment.
What can't you see well?
These pictures.
Ace held the cards out to Junpei, splayed out in the shape of a fan.
I don't care to admit it, but I may be developing presbyopia. Growing old is a difficult thing.
He made the best attempt he could at a self-deprecating smile, but his face was flushed and his lips were pale and drawn.
At any rate, I'll leave the rest to you. I'm feeling awfully tired, so if you don't mind, I'd like to rest for a bit.
He shoved the cards into Junpei's hands and walked quickly away. Junpei looked at him quizzically.
How could simply looking at cards have tired him out?
Junpei looked down at the cards in his hands. All of the pictures were quite clear, and each person was easily recognizable. Was Ace's vision truly so bad?
But if it wasn't, what had made him so uncomfortable?
That was when Junpei remembered what he'd heard from Lotus much earlier.
Prosopagnosia. Well, put simply, it means a condition where the mind can't distinguish between human faces. In other words, my face would look the same as Clover's or even yours. So they can't remember faces, which is how most people recognize each other. That means that people with prosopagnosia have trouble recognizing even people they're close to.
Maybe he's got prosopagnosia?
Junpei took another look at Ace. He sat at the base of the stairs, looking quite depressed.
Well, he looks depressed enough to have it.
What the fuck does that even mean? He looks depressed enough to have it. He really did have prosopagnosia. There was no doubt it was a depressing and painful experience. Still, Junpei didn't feel like patting him on the shoulder and telling him everything would be alright. And telling him everything would be alright would help that much. Still, Junpei felt perhaps it was best he keep Ace's condition to himself. At least for the time being.
Oh well.
Doing his best to clear his mind for the task at hand, he turned back toward the boxes.
Time to solve the 9 boxes puzzle.
And we can skip again. Up we go. In we go. Yeah, we gotta get digital routes. They turn the lights on, they turn the lights off, and we gotta light them all up. But, like, poor Akane, she's so, like, I don't think Akane has anything to feel threatened by, even if, like, the sliding scale, of yeah, even if they're like the sliding scale of female body types in this game is between June, Lotus, and Clover. I don't think June's got anything to worry about. She's fine. I'll call her a board though. That's kind of mean. You know, calling her a calling her a cutting board or a trash can. Holy shit! Like who does that? Like who does that? That is so rude. Blunter. Stroll. Oh god. What the hell? Wasn't that wasn't what I was expecting. Anyway, I'm gonna skip through all of this so we can just get it out of the way. Okay, so let's see then. Six, 4, 7, 3, 1. And we have 9. 1, 2 is 3, and 6, 3, 4, 4. We get 9, 8, 6, along with 1, 2, 3. And then we get 9, 5, 2, along with 1. Yep, and now we gotta do it again on this one, which is basically Sudoku. So we gotta make everything say 15. Okay. So great, now it's time to do the Pushmaster 5000. Joy. Okay, chat, wish me luck. Can we do it first try again? Hey, Baffy, good to see you. How are you? You doing good? Awesome. What we like to hear. We are on our way to getting another ending in this game. So... Alright, so we gotta use the Pushmaster 5000 to get those 4 crates into those 4 yellow squares. In 50 moves or less. What do we want to, what way are we to do this then? So... yeah. Then... okay. Have I... no. Okay, so we go... No matter what we do. Okay. Okay. We've used 32 moves, though. I don't... Oh, actually, you know, we can do this. First try! Hell yeah. Okay. Great, so now we can get to the fucking coffin. You know, because that's no big deal.
Mummy!
So how much of this does it skip? We have the key. Oh, and that's it. We don't... Okay. So no other conversation about the gun? Are we okay?
A long hallway, huh?
Okay. We'll just hit the fast forward button. Oh, yeah, the door 9 and then the other... There'll be the other door 9. Ooh, okay. So we're kind of done with our existential crisis.
she's not here.
Oh, okay, new stuff. Okay. Back to novel mode then. Junpei and June ran to the large hospital room together. As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. She's not here.
No, she isn't.
Alright, just in case, we should go take a look in the shower room.
Shower room?
That's where her brother is. She might have gone to see him.
June bit her lip. She knew, as Junpei did, that there was only one thing to see in the shower room. And it wasn't pleasant.
Well, we might as well check, right? Let's go.
There was a screwdriver stuck between the door and the frame.
Good. We can still get in.
We should thank Seven later.
Junpei and June slipped through the door, moved down the hallway, and stepped into the shower room. Ugh.
No luck.
Yeah, I don't think she's here.
June's voice was faint, and she placed her hands over her mouth. Her face looked a little green.
The smell is horrible.
The stench in the room was almost unbearable. It had grown far more unpleasant since their last visit. If Junpei had eaten a lunch, he would have had difficulty retaining it. He wanted to leave the room as soon as possible, but he had to be sure. And the only way to be sure was to check the other side of the divider.
Let's check the back, just to be sure.
June offered no resistance, and nodded weakly to Junpei as he headed around the divider. He stopped at the corner and turned his head.
No, she's not here.
As he'd expected, Clover was nowhere to be seen. The only thing on the other side of the divider was a dead body, lying in a reddish-brown puddle of dry and drying blood.
Snake. Just where did your sister go?
Junpei whispered to what once was Snake. He'd asked rhetorically, of course, as there was no way he'd get an answer. He gave a deep sigh.
Such a horrible way to go. The skull shattered, the left arm's hideously twisted. Huh? Wait.
Huh? Wait. The bright white of the ulna was clearly visible through the remains of skin and muscle. Bright white? Ulna?
Bones.
The pieces fell into place. Junpei remembered something Clover had told him in the laboratory.
My brother's left arm is, it's not like a normal person's arm. The accident hurt him really bad.
Of course. Of course. Why didn't I realize it earlier?
Clover had told Junpei that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. But the left arm of the corpse behind the divider was quite clearly a real human arm. Or at least, it had been once. That meant the corpse.
Junpei?
June's unsure voice at Junpei's suddenly strange behavior drew his attention back to her.
Oh, sorry for making you wait. Let's go.
Junpei and June headed back toward the large hospital room. They stepped through the door and out of the shower room. Down the hallway they went, searching for Clover in every corner. They had reached the stairs when Seven appeared, breathless and yelling.
Junpei! June! Where were you guys?
He looked pale and his face was drawn. Something terrible had happened. Junpei's breath caught in his throat.
Did something happen?
His throat. Seven drew a shaking hand across his face and gulped down a breath of air.
Clover is dead.
What?
I found her
in the first-class bathroom.
All sound ceased for Junpei. The world was an empty, muffled expanse. Then he began to hear his own breathing. Ah, she's not dead, right? She's just napping. She had far too much wine. That's all this is. June's mouth moved, but he heard nothing. He tried once more, and then her energy was gone, and she collapsed against the wall. He could have helped her, but he hadn't. Now she was dead. So he stood there, frozen in place.
Clover. Clover. Why? Why did this happen?
He forced his body to move. Each step felt like another nail pounded into his heart. Finally, he was in front of her. He knelt and placed 3 fingers against Clover's neck. No pulse. No breath. But she was still warm and her eyes were closed peacefully. It would have been easy to think she was asleep. Easy, that is, were it not for the slowly expanding puddle of blood beneath her. He traced its source to her back, a gash just beneath her shoulder blade. Was the weapon a knife, perhaps? Cute. That is cute, because the last time we went through door 6, we ended up at the knife ending. So that's cute. If it was a knife, the killer had taken it when they left. When he closed his eyes, he saw Clover's smile.
Clover!
Her innocent smile. Her energy. Her foul-mouthed brattiness. Would never see her smile again.
No way.
He could have done something. He could have helped her. His stomach twisted itself into a sickening knot.
Let's get out of here, June.
Junpei lifted a limp June from the floor and carried her from the bathroom.
Are you all right?
It was a foolish question, and he knew it.
Yes, I think so.
Her voice was weak. The fever had gone down, but the emotional scars she'd received were not likely to recede as quickly. Junpei laid his hand on her shoulder, and they walked back to the bedroom.
You should get some rest. Here, the bed. Can you sit?
Yes.
She nodded once and stared at the floor. There were 4 others in the room. Ace, Lotus, Santa, and Seven. They all stared at nothing, their faces drawn and tired. After a while, they drifted into the bathroom to see Clover's corpse themselves. Once everyone was back in the bedroom, Junpei walked slowly to the center of it and looked around as the slumped figures gathered there.
Who was the first to find the body? Me.
Seven spoke from behind Junpei. He turned around. Seven's hand was up.
Why did you come to this room?
To look for Clover, why else? I found her body in the bathroom. As soon as I did, I ran outside. I got to the top of the stairs by the casino and yelled as loud as I could. Hey, guys! I found her, but it's bad! She's in the bathroom in the first-class cabin! Come quick! Or something like that.
I'm far be it from me to judge another's performance, but I feel like this could have had a bit more urgency to it, you know? Especially if he's meant to be yelling at the top of his voice.
Then I went back to the bathroom. Ace, Santa, and Lotus showed up real soon after that. But I guess you two hadn't heard me or something because you didn't show. So I took off down the stairs to look for you. After that, I mean, you know the rest, right?
Junpei nodded and closed his eyes. There was one more thing he needed to ask.
Seven, there's one more thing I'm worried about.
What?
You stuck one of those plates in between the door and the frame, right? Why did you do that?
Come on, didn't I already tell you that? I did it so that the door wouldn't lock. So we could come back to this room? Oh, you think I did it?
Well, I don't know. That kind of depends on what you say, doesn't it?
For crying out loud.
Seven sighed and shook his head.
Follow me.
There were two doors standing next to one another. He opened the one on the right.
A closet?
Yeah.
Seven stepped inside. He stood in front of one of the shelves that filled it and gestured toward a small box. The box was a small metal cube. He looked at Junpei.
This is the reason. This safe. We couldn't open it when we were getting through this room. I figured there might be something pretty important in it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I figured eventually we might figure out what the numbers are for the safe. And if we did, I didn't want to screw around with door 5 again. So I put the plate in the exit door so we could get back in that way. You get it now?
Yeah.
Junpei nodded and looked at the safe. He grabbed the handle and shook it.
Figured it wouldn't open.
It was as locked as it had been when Seven found it.
Huh?
There was one change, however.
This is...
Just underneath the safe was a pile of fine reddish-brown powder.
rust.
Junpei stared at it, considering.
If there's rust here, that means... Has someone opened the safe?
Junpei left the closet. Seven followed him back to the bedroom.
Huh?
It was cold and quiet. No one spoke. They sat, frozen in place by shock and grief and fatigue. The room felt tiny and oppressive, and the thick metallic smell of blood filled the room. Junpei turned and headed for the living room. Anything to get out of there.
Maybe there's another clue. Anything that might lead us to discover who stabbed Clover.
As quickly as they could, they searched around and under the beds and in the corners. His eyes caught on the door. The door that led to the passageway of door number 5.
Behind this door. The ninth man's body is behind there. Maybe I should have another look at it, just in case.
Quietly, He pushed open the door.
Ugh.
The smell hit him like a blow to the face.
Oh, the hell? This smell is...
His lungs contracted, unwilling to inhale such fetid air. Acid boiled up from the base of his stomach, churning what little food was there into a violent froth.
Oh. Oh.
It was too much for him, and he vomited. A thin stream of yellow water and bile splattered onto the floor. Gross. Between that and gore last night in .hack, my nightmares are gonna be... He wiped his mouth weakly and stared at the dead body. Chunks of torn flesh lay in an arc around the body. What remained of its intestines had slid out onto the floor. The pool of blood that framed it was half dry, but so thick that it had taken on a texture not unlike that of an egg yolk prepared sunny side up. On the floor next to the broken mass of the man's head lay his glasses. Cracks spidering across the lenses. The bloodstains near them had already dried, like scabs on the floor.
Wait.
Where's his bracelet? That was when he noticed.
It's gone. His bracelet. It's gone. It was right next to the glasses.
But now, it was gone. The number 9 bracelet was gone.
But why?
Had someone taken it? He was turning it over and over in his mind when he heard Seven's voice.
Huh? Where'd Junpei go?
It had drifted out to him from the living room.
Mm.
Junpei walked slowly out of the hallway.
Oh, there you are. Were you looking for something in the hallway?
Seven looked up as Junpei entered the room.
Yeah.
Did you find something?
He thought for a moment before he responded.
No, nothing.
Technically, it wasn't a lie. He hadn't found anything. In a way, in fact, that was the problem. Something he'd expected to find hadn't been there. The 9th man's bracelet.
What's up?
Well, I wanted you to take a look at something.
What is it?
Seven led Junpei back to the bathroom.
Clover.
As Clover's corpse came into view, he felt his heart flip, and then fall to the bottom of his stomach. Something between a sigh and a groan escaped his lips.
What was it you wanted to show me?
His voice was hollow and empty.
I searched Clover's body again. A real shame. She was stabbed once in the back, probably by a knife or something. And I found this.
As he spoke, he moved around Clover's head, then knelt down and flipped open her right hand.
What?
He was holding a piece of paper.
I haven't actually looked at it yet. Didn't want to disturb the crime scene, you know? Basic stuff.
Seven, I don't think that applies in this situation. I appreciate your work ethic, but Jesus.
Well, I did borrow one thing.
What?
He wasn't sure what that meant, but it likely didn't matter. Her bracelet, I guarantee. The paper was more important.
I'm opening it.
He picked it up and carefully opened it. There were 2 sentences written on it.
Truth had gone, and truth had gone.
Ah, now, truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand.
Ah, now truth is asleep in the darkness of the sinister hand.
What is this? Some kind of secret code?
Seven peered over Junpei's shoulder at the note. Junpei stepped away from Clover's body and into the living room. He began to pace, attempting to decode the note.
A code.
First clue was likely a phrase. The first clue was likely the phrase, sinister hand. Sinister hand means left?
Sinister was a term used in heraldry that meant to the left of the bearer of a coat of arms.
Because, you know, the right hand of God, or, you know, it's never the left hand.
The left hand. The left hand. What does the left hand mean?
Junpei looked at his own left arm, at the bracelet on his wrist.
Does the darkness of the sinister hand have something to do with the bracelet?
He examined the bracelet closely.
There's two things sticking out on either side of the face. The left and right sides of the face. Left and right. Left and right. Right and left. Truth is gone. Truth gone.
Truth gone. Maybe those two words. Oh. Okay. So which is it? We don't want to mess up here. What else could gone and truth mean, right? So are we leaning towards the idea that like it's left and right? So you're on the watch or the bracelet, you're meant to press like right, left, right, left, right, left. So okay, let's start with reading it out loud.
Maybe there's something about how they sound out loud. Truth. Gone. Nope. They sounded the same in my head.
Switching it around?
How about switching the sentence around? Gone had truth. Well, that makes even less sense.
Yeah.
Clearly, switching the words isn't going to help. else could Gon and truth mean? Truth, of course, means something that is correct, something that's fact. In other words,
Something that's
something
right.
that is right. You could then safely assume that gone means left. After all, after someone left, they were gone. But in this case, they clearly refer to their directional homonyms. Then truth equals right, and gone equals left.
Junpei looked at the bracelet again.
The left and right of the bracelet. These two things sticking out. So if I...
Press them in the following order. Truth had gone, and truth had gone. And then... Whoa! One after another, 8 numbers flashed on, then off, of the face of Junpei's bracelet.
Wait, did it just...
He checked one more time to be sure. One, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Wait, that's the wrong code?
Huh? Hey, what are those numbers?
Junpei didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He had no idea what they were either. Besides, he was sure he would forget the numbers and the order they came in if he said anything. Gee, it'd be a shame nobody seems to have a pen and paper.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Muttering the numbers to himself over and over, Junpei headed toward the bedroom.
1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1. 1, 4, 3, 8, 3, 4, 2, 1.
Before long, he found himself in front of the safe again. Its lock was the only device he could think of that required a sequence of numbers such as the ones he'd just discovered. Besides, someone had opened the safe at least once already. Had Clover come to the bedroom to open it? Junpei slowly dialed in the numbers the bracelet had given him.
1 to the right, 4 to the left.
Truth had gone.
And... oh.
Finished.
Bingo. I knew it was for this.
Small, telltale sound of a lock opening. He grabbed the handle, took a deep breath, and pulled it up.
Oh, is this some sort of note?
Inside was a piece of paper. It was roughly the same size as the one Clover had been holding.
Let's see.
Junpei picked it up. This is what it said. Fact 1. The Nonary Game was played once before, 9 years ago. Fact 2. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. Fact 3. It was planned by the following 4 people. Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO, Gentaro Hongo. Cradle Pharmaceuticals Chief of Staff, Nagisa Nijisaki. Cradle Pharmaceuticals R&D Supervisor, Teruaki Kubota. Majority shareholder in Cradle Pharmaceuticals, Kagechika Musashido. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. 0. Junpei left the closet. And what did we learn from Santa earlier? The CEO of Cradle is Ace?
Huh.
There were 5 people waiting for him in the bedroom. Ace, Lotus, Santa, Seven, and June. He looked at each one of them in turn, then slowly placed his hands in the pockets of his vest.
Sorry, but do you think you could all come with me?
Come with you.
I want all of you to go to the big hospital room.
Why?
There's something I want to be sure of.
What do you want to be sure of?
I want to know if the person I suspect is really the culprit.
Wait, then you're saying...
Yeah. I think I've got it figured out. I know who killed Snake and Clover.
The atmosphere in the room changed. Grief was suddenly gone, replaced by a tension like a strap of leather stretched to its limit. 5 sets of eyes stared at Junpei. He pretended not to notice.
Anyway, if you could all please move to the big hospital room. I'll explain everything as soon as we get there.
Then, almost as if on cue, the bell began to ring. They all heard it. It was the bell from the clock in the main staircase. The bell rang 5 times, then ceased.
It's 5 o'clock.
We've only got an hour left.
We don't have a lot of time left. Let's go.
Slowly, one by one, they followed Junpei out of the bedroom.
Actually, before we get started, I was hoping you could do something for me.
Junpei stopped in front of door 3 and turned around.
Ace, Seven, and Lotus, could you please place your palms on the red?
Hmm?
Huh?
Why? If we need to get to the shower room, why don't we just...
Come on, just
No,
humor him.
We're not going inside. Once you've authenticated, step away from the door.
Why?
Please, just do it. Or perhaps you don't want to know who killed Snake and Clover.
Junpei's implication was clear, and Seven understood perfectly.
Fine.
What about you, Ace? Lotus?
Very well.
Sure.
Quickly, they pressed their palms onto the red. Once they had finished, they stepped away from the door, as Junpei had instructed. 3 asterisks shone from the red's display panel.
I have this idea. I don't think this device responds to a hand placed on it. It instead reacts to a bracelet being brought close. You don't actually need a hand.
Junpei approached it and held his bracelet over the scanner. He made quite sure he didn't place his palm on it, and instead only brought his bracelet near it. The fourth asterisk appeared.
I knew it.
Just as Junpei had expected. It was possible to authenticate without placing one's palm on the red, so long as the bracelet was brought near it. Junpei pulled the lever down. Door 3 opened, like a hungry mouth. 9 long seconds passed. And the door shut, unfed. Junpei walked slowly back to the others, who were waiting some distance from the door, talking to one another. Santa and June had joined them as well.
Huh?
It looked as though they hadn't found the chance to break into the conversation yet. As Junpei approached, they turned to look at him, curiosity plain on their faces. Before long, the other 3 did as well.
What was that about?
How should I know?
Clearly, they were all expecting some answers.
Thanks. I appreciate your cooperation.
Clearly, they'd hoped for something more forthcoming. He continued.
By the way, Ace, would you mind if I asked you something?
What is it?
Do you know who I am?
What? What kind of question?
Just answer it, please. Who?
You're Junpei, of course. Who else would you be?
Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer. Actually, I'm Santa.
What?
Ace's voice was full of surprise, but it was also tinged with confusion and fear. Everyone else looked nearly as surprised. Santa looked especially shocked to discover he was actually someone else. If he spoke, however, the trap would be exposed. Junpei quickly continued.
The clothes I'm wearing, I borrowed from Junpei. And the clothes he's wearing are mine. We had a little swap.
That's ridiculous. Impossible.
So, you're saying I'm not Santa?
Of course you aren't.
Why? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa?
If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. 1 + 7 + 8 + 3 = 19. One plus 9 would be 10. The digital route would be 1. But the 4 of us just opened door 3. You can't possibly be Santa. Your bracelet number isn't 3.
It's 5, right?
Huh?
Only then was it too late. Sorry. Only then, when it was too late, did Ace realize his mistake. He set his jaw and glared at Junpei.
You're exactly right. My bracelet number is 5.
As he spoke, Junpei lifted his wrist to show everyone the bright red 5 on his wrist. I mean, it's blue, but the bracelet's red, so I'll let it slide.
Sorry, Ace. I tricked you. Of course, I'm not really Santa. I'm Junpei. Who could possibly think I was? It's obvious I'm not. To think I was? Ridiculous. But I guess you couldn't see just how obvious it was. I asked you before, didn't I? What makes you so sure I'm not Santa? And you answered. If you were Santa, then door 3 wouldn't have opened for us just now. Most people wouldn't say something like that. The first thing that would come to anyone else's mind wouldn't be the bracelet number. There'd only be one thing they'd say. One sentence. You don't have his face.
No, maybe not those exact words, but basically. Yeah. Basically.
Ace, you have prosopagnosia, am I right?
Junpei's voice was quiet and calm. He knew the truth. So did Ace.
Prosopagnosia?
The others looked confused.
What's that?
No clue.
Prosopagnosia is...
He heard Lotus begin to explain it to them. Ace glanced at them, then turned back toward Junpei and sighed.
Very well. I confess. I have prosopagnosia. I cannot differentiate human faces. Is that what this was about? You want to mock me for my disorder?
No, not at all. I'm not making fun of you at all. In fact, I feel kind of bad for you. No, the reason I brought this up is that there's an excellent chance the person who killed Snake has prosopagnosia.
Ace's face tightened. His eyes narrowed.
What do you mean?
Junpei leaned casually against the iron piping of the beds.
I'll just come right out with it. I think it was you, Ace. You killed him.
Junpei was suddenly very aware of 5 pairs of eyes on him. He had their undivided attention now. The room had grown very, very quiet. Junpei took a deep breath.
That's ridiculous. What possible evidence do you...
I have 3 pieces of evidence. The first, think back to a few hours ago. You made us argue over the 3 doors here in the big hospital room. There was no way all 7 people could go through them. Lotus suggested that we sacrifice one of us.
Lotus looked away, awkwardly. Junpei glanced at her and continued.
Then you, Ace, said, I'll stay here. Why would you say something like that? It's pretty simple, really. You didn't want us to see the dead body in the shower room. You see, if Ace stayed behind, there were only 2 doors the rest of us could go through. Doors 7 and 8. There was no way we could get through door 3, the shower room. You knew that, didn't you, Ace? That's why you volunteered to stay behind.
Come on now, I think that's going a bit far. I can understand if you're jealous of my bravery, but... Please don't devalue my actions. I only wanted to save the rest of you. Surely you can understand my altruism.
Altruism, huh?
Junpei stared off into the darkness at something very interesting, and lazily began to dig a persistent bit of wax out of his ear.
You already knew, didn't you? You knew that whichever doors we took, eventually we'd end up back in the big hospital room.
What on earth are you saying? Of course I didn't know that. How could I have?
Really?
Really? Miz? Is that you?
Yes.
Bleeding was not something they'd heard from Ace before. Junpei pulled the piece of wax from his ear, glanced at it, and flicked it off into the darkness.
Oh well, that's cool. I've still got 2 more pieces of evidence that say you're the killer. The second is that, as I said earlier, you have prosopagnosia.
Then you mean to imply that a person who can't distinguish human faces must be a bad person?
It's rather ableist of you, Junpei, but okay.
Junpei, they call that prejudice.
Okay.
No, I am not that stupid.
Then why?
Well, before I explain, I suppose there's something I should tell you. The corpse in the shower room. It's not Snake's.
What?
Ace's face went pale. The others looked confused as well. If the body wasn't Snake's...
I didn't put it together right away, but there was something Clover told me. She said that Snake's left arm was prosthetic. He'd lost his real arm in an accident. But the body we saw in the shower room, let's call him Guy X.
Makes sense. He's the 10th person they've found at this point.
Guy X's left arm was definitely flesh and blood. In other words, Guy X couldn't possibly have been Snake.
Oh God. No. That's impossible.
Ace had started muttering deliriously to himself, shaking his head back and forth. Yes, also, I am aware of the ship captain, Zero, but nobody has brought him up on this timeline, so Guy X is the 10th one. Junpei was long past caring.
Let's say, hypothetically, that the killer didn't have prosopagnosia. If that were the case, he would immediately realize that Guy X wasn't Snake. Even if the clothes were the same as Snake's, their faces would be completely different. It would have been obvious they were different people. And yet, they still killed him. Why? Why would they kill a stranger who'd only just shown up? On the other hand, if the killer did have prosopagnosia, it makes sense. They thought Guy X was Snake and killed him.
Wait. Wait just a moment. Let's say you're right, and I mistook Guy X for Snake. Even if I did, I would have had no motive to kill him. Why would I want to kill Snake?
I can think of at least 2 motives. 1, Snake knew about your past. If he ever revealed what he knew, that would have been really bad for you. You really didn't want that to happen. So to make sure Snake's mouth stayed shut, you killed him. 2, Snake had a grudge against you. You knew that, or at least you could have easily assumed he did. Even without exposing your identity, he was a threat to you. You never knew when you might be attacked. You couldn't ever let your guard down. Every moment was a moment he might try something. You didn't want that kind of danger hanging over you.
Hey, hold on a minute.
For the first time since the beginning of Junpei's explanation, someone besides Ace spoke.
What's the past that Ace wouldn't want us to know? Why did Snake have a grudge against him?
Look at this.
He handed Santa a small piece of paper.
What's this piece of paper?
Santa squinted at the paper and began to read.
The Nonary Game was played once before 9 years ago. The person with the number 2 bracelet attended the game 9 years ago. It was planned by the following 4 people: Cradle Pharmaceuticals CEO Gentaro Hongo. What is this?
Slowly, Santa looked up from the paper. His eyes met Junpei's.
It's the message from Zero. It was in the safe in the first-class cabin.
Then suddenly...
Give me a break!
Ace's face was red and shaking, and his voice was full of fury tinged with desperation.
That paper is a lie! Someone is trying to frame me!
Me. You said me, right?
Junpei's eyes narrowed, and the trap began to close. Ace inhaled. His eyes flickered off of Junpei to something, anything else.
Wouldn't that mean you're admitting you're Hongo, the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceuticals? Or am I mistaken?
Santa, you told us about this in the cargo room, right? It was as though a switch had been flipped. The color drained from Ace's face, and as he realized what he'd done, his eyes went wide.
Very well. I admit that much. I am certainly the CEO of Cradle Pharmaceutical, Gentaro Hongo. So what if I am? I don't know anything about this Nonary Game that supposedly took place 9 years ago. Everything on that scrap of paper is bullshit.
Language, my Otismon.
Someone is trying to set me up, you see? First of all,
Ace stammered as he tried desperately to work himself to a more tenable position.
Junpei, you're claiming I did this all by myself. Think that over, all right? How could I have killed Snake all by myself?
Not Snake. It was Guy X.
I don't care who it was. You said the killer put this other man into door 3, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Then I couldn't have possibly done that alone. I couldn't have opened door 3 with only myself and Guy X.
Nope. You could have.
Huh?
Huh?
What?
Ace's face was tight, and his teeth were clenched. Junpei fixed him with a level stare. The trap was about to close.
Actually, Ace, when you were unconscious, I took something from you. Remember when you were injected with that anesthetic and fell asleep in the big hospital room? Yeah, back then, I took this.
Junpei put his hand into his pocket.
No! You couldn't have!
Ace's right hand moved. Junpei smiled.
I got you, Ace. Your right hand there tells me all I needed to know.
Tricked again!
You want to tell me what you were so worried about? What's in your pocket? It's the number 9 bracelet, isn't it? Ace, Guy X, and the 9th man's bracelet. That was all you needed to open door 3.
1 + 2 + 9 = 12. 1 + 2 = 3.
That's how you killed Guy X all by yourself, Ace. All you needed was the number 9 bracelet in your chest pocket.
But then that presumes that Guy X also had a number 2 bracelet for that to work. Which means that somebody set Ace up knowing he has prosopagnosia. The plot thickens. Ace lowered his hand from where it had stopped, halfway to his pocket. He looked down at the floor, his face hidden from Junpei. All he could see was the corner of Ace's mouth, twitching like a dying fish.
If you want to play innocent, that's fine by me. Go ahead, tell me. I don't have the bracelet, if that's what you want to do. But if you could take off your coat and hand it to me, I'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, we'll have to take it from you by force. Right, Seven?
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Seven cracked his knuckles with sound like gunfire. Oh no. Ace roared with laughter. He threw his arms wide and his head back and laughed, filling the room with a sound that scarcely belonged there. And then it stopped. His arms came down and his head dropped to look straight ahead at Junpei. His face was flat and cold, devoid of any emotion.
Well done, Junpei. As you so correctly deduced, I have the number 9 bracelet. I retrieved it while we were searching for the missing hardware for the Red. I left the room I was supposed to search and headed to the first-class cabin on B-deck.
His voice showed no emotion, no sense of remorse or interest. It was almost bored, as though he were reciting an especially dull corporate letter.
My purpose was to obtain the number 9 bracelet. 9 is a potent ally in the Nonary Game. Adding 9 to any set of numbers won't alter the digital root.
1 + 9 = 10. 1 + 0 = 1. 2 + 9 = 2. 3 + 3 = 3.
As you can see, 9 is a very useful number here. With it, one can go anywhere with anyone. It is, I suppose you could say, a game changer.
9 is OP. Nerf the number 9 bracelet.
So I made for the first-class cabin to obtain it. In mere moments, I successfully acquired the number 9 bracelet. There was also an unexpected bonus. The knife the 9th man had used.
Ah, that's where it came from. This also leads credence to the theory that it is Ace that stabs you in the back in the knife ending. He's faking being dead when you find him and Clover and 7 at the bottom of the staircase. Or is it Santa? Either way.
I quickly pocketed both of them and left. I made my way back to where I was expected to be. That's when I ran into Snake. Well, this guy X, actually. I spotted him ahead of me. He was heading for the large hospital room and hadn't noticed me. The man wearing Snake's clothes arrived at door 3. When he stopped, I walked up behind him and called out, "Snake." He turned around. He said nothing. His mouth simply hung half open.
Was he drugged?
He seemed dazed somehow, almost like a man half asleep. Perhaps he had been drugged. It wasn't important. I tend to gloss over little things like that. I was certain that man was Snake. I knew Snake had taken part in the Nonary Game 9 years ago. Being blind, it made sense that he didn't recognize me immediately upon our first meeting. But why then hadn't Snake said anything to me later? Surely he hadn't forgotten what had happened to him in the Nonary Game. But not once did he attempt to confront me. Did his lack of sight prevent him from fully recognizing who I was? Or perhaps Snake had conspired with Zero to deceive me. Regardless, he was a threat, and it was better to deal with him sooner rather than later. I had to get rid of him before he took action.
Right.
With quick thinking, my plan went into motion immediately. I held the number 9 bracelet over the red. I waved my own bracelet in front of the red, and then grabbed Snake's arm and shoved his hand against the scanner panel. The door opened. I threw the man through it. 9 seconds later, the door shut. "81 seconds passed. After that, I returned to my post as though nothing had happened. After conducting my own search, I returned to the large hospital room when the 1 a.m. bell rang.
Ace's eyes were cold and his cheeks were hollow and pallid. When he spoke, only his lips and tongue moved. The rest of his face was eerily still. Junpei glared at Ace. He took a deep breath and thought about the next question he had to ask. He didn't want to. He knew what the answer would be. He just didn't want to hear it. Junpei swallowed and then spoke.
Ace, did you kill Clover?
Yes.
Why? Why did you kill her?
She was Snake's sister. It was possible he had told her something dangerous. Additionally, she had gone through door 1. It seemed likely she might have found it.
Found what?
Why don't you go through door 1 yourself? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere.
Seven and Lotus interrupted.
Yeah, but Lotus and I went through door 1 too.
We didn't see anything suspicious.
Yes, I thought as much after I heard your report at the central stairs. I doubt the two of you could find it.
Hmm?
Huh?
But perhaps Clover was different. Perhaps she had found it. I was, therefore, desperate to find her. And at last I did, in the first-class cabin. I spoke very calmly. Did you see it?
See what?
Don't act as if you don't understand. You were in the captain's quarters, weren't you?
Uh-huh. What are you talking about?
Very well. By the way, what are you doing here, Clover?
What? Nothing.
There's blood on your shoes. It looks fresh. Did you go take a look at the 9th man's corpse? I see. Your silence suggests that you noticed. You saw something, didn't you? You saw that his bracelet was gone.
No!
Clover ran. She made for the exit, but Ace stood in her way.
You aren't going anywhere.
He caught her by the collar as she passed and threw her to the floor, hard.
You're staying here.
No!
She leapt back up and darted past him into the hallway. Ace followed at a
Don't you
run.
run, little girl.
Ugh. Oh, it sounded so... squishy. Watery.
That was how I killed Clover.
His face hadn't changed. If he felt guilt or remorse or... No, my Otismon! Don't kill TK! Oh. Oh, Astral, you are a gem. You are a gem. Okay. If he felt guilt or remorse or anything one might feel after taking the life of another human being, it didn't show.
You son of a bitch!
Seven's whole body trembled with rage, and his voice rumbled with hate. Santa's eyes were bloodthirsty, and Lotus and June's faces were distorted by anger and hatred. Ace looked at them and smiled. It was a cold, cruel thing with no humor in it. He shook his head and sighed.
I admit it. I've lost. I have lost. Completely and utterly. Don't misunderstand, Junpei. I didn't lose to you. I lost to Zero, not you.
Oh, stop being a crybaby.
I'm rather disgusted with myself for falling into such a simple trap. I looked the fool. And it was a trap, make no mistake. I was trapped and manipulated by Zero. The man I killed in the shower room, if he wasn't Snake, then I have no idea who he was. But he was wearing Snake's clothes, and that was no coincidence. He had also been injected with something that reduced his cognition and prevented him from identifying himself or resisting me. And we can't forget the components that were removed from the Red before we arrived. I have no doubt that Zero planned all of this. Zero made sure I would kill that man. It follows, of course, that Zero knew everything I would do. That I would try to take the number 9 bracelet. That I would try to kill Snake. Everything.
Suddenly, Junpei remembered the paper he'd found in the safe. He remembered the last word Zero had written on it. I must punish them for the innocent lives they sacrificed. This is the only warning they will receive. That innocent souls might be saved, I now state the truth. Zero. And he remembered other words. Words he'd heard from Clover.
I think Zero is one of us.
Huh?
One by one, Junpei looked at the 5 people standing in front of him. Ace, Santa, June, 7, Lotus.
Zero is one of us? No. Wait. There's one more person. Snake. The man who died in the shower room isn't Snake. That means he's almost certainly still alive. Maybe Snake is Zero. Maybe he made Guy X wear his clothes so that we'd all think he was dead. Where's Snake now? What if he's off somewhere laughing at us? If he is Zero, he must have been lying to us about everything else.
Or if he's Zero, poor Clover, though.
Is he watching us?
Well, I believe I've finished with my confession. Why don't we get moving?
He sounded as if he'd just finished doing nothing more exciting than describing the weather. For Santa, it was the last straw.
What the hell is this shit? You aren't going anywhere, you son of a bitch! We're gonna leave your ass here to rot!
Why? Because I killed Clover? That's ridiculous. Why are you so upset that I killed the little bitch? She was nothing to you. A stranger you only met a few hours ago. Am I wrong? You bastard!
7 roared and lifted a fist that would likely have shattered Ace's jaw. But someone else was faster. It was Lotus. She stepped toward Ace, raised a fist of her own, and drove it straight into his nose.
Blindsiding me with a punch, huh? You've got some fire, don't you? I confess, I rather like a tough woman.
Oh, don't make it creepy. Don't make it creepy. He sniffed and wiped a small trickle of blood from his nose with a raised eyebrow.
Well, maybe you'd like another one then.
Before that, let me give you one of my own.
Huh?
Lotus scarcely had time to blink. Ace snaked his arms around her and pulled Lotus back up against him. In the same motion, he reached into his coat pocket. It was a gun. Oh boy.
If any of you so much as blink, I won't hesitate to pull this trigger. I've already killed 3 people. Don't think I'm not ready to make it 4.
Almost lazily, he tilted it to point. It was a gun. The revolver. Almost lazily, he tilted it to point at Lotus's head.
3 people? What do you mean?
Very well. Let me take this opportunity to illuminate you. The person who killed the 9th man was me. Although I suppose, to be more accurate, I encouraged him to get himself killed. While we were examining the main staircase, he came to me and told me his name. I recognized it at once. So I gave him a little push. Just a little white lie. It seems the settings for the dead were altered. Now it only requires a single person to deactivate the detonator in the bracelet. Investigate what's beyond door 5. We'll meet again later. And with that...
Okay. Have a good one, guys. I'm going off ahead now. Well then. Goodbye!
Why is it stopping? God damn it! You lied! Open the door, please! I'm begging you! Help me! Please get me out of here! Get me out of here! Oh my god! There's no time left! Listen! I was lied to! He lied to me! He put me in here!
And there's the pronoun game from the very start.
It was him! He killed me! It was him!
Say his goddamn name or code name.
I had 4 reasons for killing him.
1.
As I said before, in the Nonary Game, the number 9 bracelet is of utmost importance. If I had allowed him to keep such a useful tool, he, or it, would have become a threat to me. As such, I decided that he should be eliminated early on.
2.
I wanted the number 9 bracelet. If I could manage to obtain it, I would be able to manipulate the game as I saw fit. I would be unable to acquire the bracelet unless its owner was dead. That's the second reason.
3.
Even setting aside his number, he would have been nothing but trouble for me. He was aware of my past. He knew what happened here 9 years ago. It was important that I eliminate him before he was able to disseminate this information.
And 4.
Lastly, I wished to conduct a simple test. A test to see if this Nonary Game was serious, or a poor attempt at a joke. I needed to be quite sure. As such, I encouraged him to act against the rules so that I might observe the outcome.
I'm something of a scientist myself. Junpei glared at him.
I don't get your third motive. What the hell happened 9 years ago?
Didn't I say? The Nonary Game was played. I planned it out, and I conducted its execution.
Why? What on earth was it supposed to do?
I don't really think I have any obligation to tell you that.
Ace smirked. He was trying to provoke them, and it was working. Although Ace had paid very little attention to Lotus after catching her, the gun had never wavered from her temple. She looked quite pale, and when she spoke, her voice shook.
Hey, what's with this gun? Where did he get this?
Why don't you tell her, Santa?
Santa ground his teeth and glared at Ace.
On the other side of door 6, we found the gun in the coffin in the cargo room, right? Bastard must have grabbed it when we weren't looking.
Indeed I did. That was a pretty serious mistake, you know. Just saying you intended to leave it behind.
Ace laughed. A short, derisive snort, and gave Junpei a sickeningly pitying look.
Well, there isn't much time left. I'll be off then.
Well, where are you going?
Do I really need to explain? I had assumed it would be obvious.
Door 9.
I have the number 9 bracelet. And now I have Lotus.
Yep. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 9 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9.
Wasn't there a door with a 9 on it in the room that looked like a church? That's where you're going, isn't it?
And how do you know that?
Santa told me about it while we were looking for Clover.
I see. Well, you are correct. That is my destination. But now I must say goodbye to all of you. Ah, and please, don't forget my warning. Move and I'll pull the trigger. I don't need her alive to open the door, you know.
As he spoke, Ace began backing toward the door, practically dragging Lotus behind him.
Shit! He's getting away!
But we can't risk it.
Junpei, Santa, June, and Seven stood, frozen. Ace had the face of a man gone mad. They had no doubt he would pull the trigger. Ace had reached the exit.
Now, Lotus, open the door for me if you would.
He forced Lotus to open it, and then turned and addressed them once more.
Goodbye.
Then, he stepped through the door. It fell shut. In the blink of an eye, they were gone.
Damn it!
As soon as Ace and Lotus were gone, Junpei and the others leapt for the door, in pursuit of Ace. But as Junpei laid his hand on the doorknob, there was a noise behind him. He looked over his shoulder. June was kneeling on the floor, breathing heavily. Holy crap, Santa, what is with those yaoi hands?
Hey, June, what happened? Are you alright?
Santa ran to June and wrapped his arm around her before she could collapse all the way.
Jesus, you're burning up. Your fever's back. Are you okay?
June's fever had returned, again for no apparent reason. Her eyes were watery and her eyelids drooped. Her breath came in dry, shallow gasps.
I'm okay. Really, I'm fine. You should be worrying about Lotus.
She was breathing hard now, and she could barely summon the strength to talk.
But...
Junpei was torn. He couldn't leave June alone in the state she was in. But every moment they waited, Ace was farther away. Lotus's life in his hands. What was Junpei supposed to do? June's eyes drifted to Junpei's. She managed to muster a weak smile.
Junpei, don't worry about me. I just need a little rest. I'll be fine.
Woo! Oh boy.
Don't you remember? I just needed to rest a little bit last time.
Oh, thank you for the posture check. Oh. Okay. Oh. Oh, and a stretch. Right. Okay. Whew. Oh. Oh, all that did was make me sleepy. All that did was make me sleepy.
So please, please save Lotus.
Think about what Ace has already done, Junpei. When he's got what he needs from Lotus, you really think he's just gonna let her walk away?
Damn it. You guys go on ahead. As soon as June starts feeling better, we'll follow you. Go!
Junpei looked at June. She nodded once. She couldn't manage much more. But it was all the confirmation Junpei needed. His resolve was set.
All right, come on, Seven. We're going after Ace.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Santa, you take good care of June. I'm trusting you.
Got it.
Santa nodded. Junpei turned, before he had a chance to change his mind, and started running toward the door. He could hear Seven's heavy footsteps behind him.
Let's go!
Junpei and Seven exploded into the hallway, their feet pounding the metal floor as they ran. I mean, that floor looks very wooden, but okay.